Senate Republicans took the first step Thursday evening toward passing a tax plan and fulfilling a long-held campaign pledge. Senators narrowly voted 5,149 to pass the fiscal 2018 budget after a grueling hours-long marathon on the Senate floor. Sen. Rand Paul Howard Paul House bill set to reignite debate on warrantless surveillance authorizing military forces necessary, but insufficient GOP feuds with outside group over analysis of tax framework more RKY, joined with every Democrat and independent to vote against the bill. The spending blueprint is key to Republicans' efforts to pass tax reform because it includes instructions that will allow the plan to avoid a Democratic filibuster. A last-minute amendment by Senate Budget Committee Chairman Mike Bradley Enzer this week. Congress gets ball rolling on tax reform. How the effort to replace Obamacare failed. Senate GOP budget paves way for 5T and tax cuts more RWYO. Adopting technical and procedural language from the House budget may expedite the budget's final passage. A House GOP source says the amendment seems sufficient to avoid a conference committee between the two chambers, and allow the House to simply pass the Senate resolution. Passing this budget is critical to getting tax reform done, so we can strengthen our economy after years of stagnation under the previous administration, said Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Addison Mitchell McConnell's proposal picks up GOP support. Children's health care bill faces new obstacles. Dem see Trump as potential ally on gun reform more RKY, with a 52-seat majority. McConnell had a narrow path to getting the votes needed to clear the budget through the upper chamber. But GOP leadership caught a break this week when Sen. John Sidney McCain Rubio asks Army to kick out West Point grad with pro-communist posts. The vast woes cannot be pinned on any singular administration overnight. Defense Matters offers support for Iran deal. McCain blocks nominees over Afghanistan strategy. Tillerson's bill raises new questions end Korea policy. Moreira's, a holdout over defense spending, announced he would vote yes, and Sen. Thad Cochran Thad Cochran White House requests B for disaster relief. GOP establishment doubts Bannon's primary powers. Whatever you think the Alabama special election means, you're probably wrong. More miss, recovering from health issues, returned early to Washington. The budget, meant to outline spending for the fiscal year, was widely viewed as a mere vehicle for passing tax reform. This is the biggest hoax cast upon the American people ever that this budget process even exists. The only thing about this that matters is in preparation for tax reform, said Sen. Bob Corker. Robert Bob Phillips Corker deficit hawks voice worry over direction of tax plan. The Hill interview budget chair Black sticks around for now. Overnight finance. White House requests B for disaster relief. Equifax chief grilled over stock sales. House panel approves B for border wall. Tax plan puts swing state Republicans in tough spot. More Tennessee, who voted for the budget. Corker noted bluntly that he believes the budget doesn't have a real-world impact, and if he was chairman of the budget committee he would disband it. When a staffer told him he was about to miss an amendment vote, he shot back, "Yeah, on a vote that doesn't matter." McCain, explaining why he would support the budget, added, "At the end of the day, we all know that the Senate budget resolution will not impact final appropriations. The budget would allow the Senate GOP's tax plan to add up to $1.5 trillion to the deficit over a decade, a proposal that has raised concerns with fiscal hawks in the GOP. Its instructions call for the Senate Finance Committee to report a tax bill by November 13. Still, the document outlines the Senate GOP's political vision. It maintains spending at 2017 levels for the year, but would then cut non-defense spending in subsequent years, leading to a $106 billion cut in 2027. It would also allow defense levels to continue rising at their current rate, reaching $684 billion at the end of a decade. The resolution also proposes $473 billion in cuts to Medicare's baseline spending over a decade and about $1 trillion from Medicaid, though those provisions are not enforceable without additional legislation. The final discretionary spending levels that will fund the government in 2018 will have to be negotiated between congressional Republicans, Democrats and the White House ahead of a December 8 deadline. Failure to reach an agreement to pass a stopgap measure by then would lead to a government shutdown. The Thursday vote comes after the Senate spent days debating the budget, including hours on the Senate floor during a marathon vote session known as vote-errama. Under the freewheeling floor drama, any senator can force a vote on any measure. As of early Thursday afternoon, hundreds of amendments had been filed, most aimed at making the other party squirm by taking politically tough votes. Senators narrowly rejected a push by Democrats, led by Sen. Maria Elaine Cantwell used tax reform to strengthen what's working. The low-income housing tax credit Senate energy bill is misguided gift to Trump's dirty fossil fuel agenda. Help states solve their housing problems with the Affordable Housing Credit Improvement Act. Mordwash to block Republicans from using the budget to open up oil and gas drilling in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. The bill doesn't specifically mention the wildlife refuge, but asks the Energy and Natural Resources Committee to pass legislation to raise $1 billion over the next 10 years, and drilling in the Arctic refuge is by far the most likely way to get to the total. Gop Sense. Rand Paul Kai, and Mike Shumway. Whatever you think the Alabama special election means, you're probably wrong. How the effort to replace Obamacare failed. Overnight regulation. Trump temporarily lifts Jones Act for Puerto Rico bill would exempt some banks from Dodd-Frank. Senators unveil driverless car bill. More. Utah both forced their GOP colleagues to vote again on proposals aimed at allowing Republicans to repeal all or parts of Obamacare with a simple majority. Republicans promised to repeal all of Obamacare, root and branch. They promised to repeal, not block grant. Tonight I present another chance, Paul tweeted, urging his caucus to agree to link the healthcare fight to the budget. But GOP leadership has been cool to the idea of linking Obamacare repeal to the fiscal 2018 budget, which is focused on setting up Republicans' ability to pass their tax plan with a simple majority. Republicans said after the failed vote on a bill by GOP Sense. Lindsey Olin Graham Jorbin. I had nothing to do with Curbelo snub. Republicans jockey for position on immigration. Overnight healthcare. House passes 20-week abortion ban. GOP gives ground over Obamacare. Fixed price exit sets off speculation over replacement. More. SC and Bill Cassidy. William Bill Morgan Cassidy. Ben Shapiro, who died and made Jimmy Kimmel Jesus. Dems look to turn Obamacare tables on GOP in 18. Congress misses deadline to reauthorize children's healthcare program. Mueller. That healthcare should be put on the back burner until next year, instead of complicating an already uphill battle on tax reform. Paul also introduced 3 additional amendments, each of which garnered more than 90 no votes. One would have required $98 billion of mandatory spending cuts in 2018, another would have trimmed $43 billion in discretionary spending, and the third would have expanded the level of tax cuts to $2.5 trillion over a decade from $1.5 trillion. No Democrats supported the budget, which they argue would pave the way for a tax plan that would cut Medicare and Medicaid and raise taxes on middle-class Americans. We're going to make our colleagues say they want to vote to increase the deficit by $1.5 trillion, and we're going to also make our Republican colleagues vote to whether they want to raise taxes on the middle class. Senate Minority Leader Charles Chuck Ellis Schumer. Overnight healthcare. Schumer calls for tying Obamacare fix to children's health insurance. Puerto Rico's water woes worsen. Dems plead for nursing home residents' right to sue. Crying on TV doesn't qualify. Kimmel to set nation's gun agenda. Trump knocks fake news coverage of his trip to Puerto Rico. More. DNY said earlier Thursday, outlining his caucus strategy. If the House chooses not to take up the Senate-passed bill, lawmakers will have to go to conference to work out differences with a House budget resolution, which proposes significantly higher spending for defense and cuts to non-defense discretionary spending. The conference is expected to lean toward the Senate's version of the resolution, which provides more leeway for passing tax reform. House Budget Committee Chairman Diane Lynn Black. The Hill interview. Budget Chair Black sticks around for now. House to vote on budget next week. Blackburn says SHES interested in caucus seat. More. Tennessee has pushed for $203 billion in deficit reductions from mandatory spending to be included in the final product.